Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello! I'm so excited to meet all of you guys. I'm like in the previous meeting, we want to share knowledge so we can get smarter together. And always with my partner, Ivana Istitia. Hello Ivana.
Okay, for this occasion, we would like to present about financial control. Please enjoy our video.
So in this material, we will explain in 4 sections. The first section is definition of financial control, and then comprehensive control, and then contextual factor, and the last is design consideration. Okay, so we move to the first section is definition of financial control. In definition of financial control, we want to talk about this. Mechanical feedback versus behavior responses. The primary focus in financial control subsystem is the behavior of an organization people, not its machine. For this reason, financial control is best understood by emphasizing the importance of behavioral functions. The underlying behavior objective of financial control can be reconciled with a generalized definition of control. In general, control will be defined as an initiative chosen because it's believed that the probability of obtaining a desired outcome will be increased. And then, in financial control, the underlying desired outcomes are behavioral events, and the application is to a financial problem. And then the definition of control has been based on the concept of belief and probability. And then in selecting financial control, manager will rely on their beliefs and past experience. The behavioral outcomes attributed to the control initiative are more realistically and accurately understood in terms of belief and probability assessment rather than naive causal relationship. And then, still in definition of financial control, but we talk about extending traditional concepts. Traditional concepts of control in accounting have been presumed that the production of accounting information is the final step of the accountant's role. And then when designing control system appropriate to the generation of accurate and reliable accounting information, emphasis is traditionally placed on the following factors. First is engaging personnel who will carry out their responsibility competently and with integrity. And then avoiding incompatible function by separating duties and responsibilities. And then defining the authority associated with the position so that the propriety of transactions that are executed can be evaluated, and then establishing a systematic method to assure that transactions are recorded accurately, and then ensuring that documentation is adequate. Next, safeguarding assets by designing procedures to limit access to assets. And last is designing independent checks to promote accuracy. And we move to the next section that we want to discuss is comprehensive control. So, comprehensive control system is actually a configuration of integrated formal subsystem that support the administrative process. To be formalized, a control subsystem must be structured in advance and designed as a process appropriate to the achievement of a specific objective. To be comprehensive, a control system must encompass planning activities, operating activities, and the required feedback function. And then let's discuss about planning. Planning process is characterized in terms of goal-setting behavior. The planning process will raise control questions such as how are divisions to be identified? And the next question is what use will be made of responsibility accounting? And the last question is how will department be structured and what accounting will be made for interdepartmental transfer? It's readily apparent that planning is essential to effective control. Control can be essential to effective planning. A plan that is technically or artistically brilliant may initiative or invite a control disaster for the unwary organization that is not attentive to the control implication of implementing the plan. And then, the continued is operation. Operating function presumes the existence of management plans, although the plan may be informal or unwritten. The term operation refers to the conduct of the operating activities of the organization, including the provision of services and manufacture of products, as well as the necessary support function needed to sustain operation. Operating control is the process of monitoring and correcting operating activities during the implementation of management plans. And next is feedback. Feedback is served as the basis for making evaluation that will influence the distribution of reward, the assessment of penalties, and the alteration of the planning and operating processes that generated the feedback. The feedback is a mechanical application that involves closed systems with well-defined cause and effect relationship. And next, we discuss about control interaction. Planning, operation, and feedback activities have been identified as the three aspects of the administrative process that must be supported in a comprehensive control design. And then, while each of these dimensions has been discussed in turn, it's readily apparent that they are not independent entities. The design of planning subsystem for the near term and the long term, the creation of control support for operation, and the decision of emphasize certain feedback measures to indicate success and failure are highly interrelated issues. And then this interrelationship can be managed to great advantage if an organization can successfully link the control subsystem designed to support the planning, operating, and feedback function.
Alright guys, we will talk about contextual factors. Now we have to know about contextual factors first. Contextual factors. The challenge for manager is to understand the most dominant factors for the successful implementation of financial control. So the process of identifying cases of important contextual factor is the highest subject and is very temporary. A list of critical contextual factors are subject to do the overall improvement contextual factors. Contextual factors consist of: first, size. Size can be viewed as both an opportunity and obstacle. Size is seen as an opportunity if it serves as an economic benefit and not a strategy. Size can become a constraint if economic growth leads to manageability. Second, environmental stability. Control design in a stable environment may differ from control design in an ever-changing environment. Stability in an exogenous environment can be judged by the force of movement externally, producing products requiring a response. Third is profit motive. The existence of the profit motive is certainly not a barrier to using assessment measures, accounting for productivity. On the other hand, it is clear that control systems based on motives and measures of profitability often cannot be translated directly into a non-profit context. The last, process factors. It is well known the process objectives for accounting controls can be an important determinant of control design. There are many ways to characterize organizational process. So, in the short word, the word of mention that I said before is a difficult and challenging process. The student of control must rely on informed judgment, experience, and sensitivity to identify the critical contextual variables that govern a particular setting. Next, we talk about design consideration. In design consideration, there are three sub of this particular. First, anticipation of logical consequences. Anticipation of logical consequences is a key element in design controls. This is important for a financial manager who is accustomed to making judgment based on whether an outcome is good or bad. Financial reports provide information to determine whether these results are correct. A control will relate to an outcome or consequence, whether appropriate or not. But control reflects a behavioral consequence of a specific control strategy. Next, relevance of agency theory. Agency theory facilitates the anticipation of logical consequences by providing a logic for understanding and subsequently predicting behavior. As we know, an agent is someone appointed by the principal to complete the task assigned by the principal. So the agent may have a different set of outcome objective than a principal. The main strength of agent theory is its ability to provide a control design that simultaneously helps to improve the welfare of both parties. The last is managing change. Managing change is important consideration in design of control. Managers carry out controls to achieve goals which are often faced with a dilemma. The existence of controls in a company may have ceased its function when changes occur, but managers are usually worried about changing these controls. Even though it may be helped, it will provide a greater opportunity to achieve goals, compared to the cost incurred for making these changes. That's all for our presentation. We are so sorry for our mistake. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a nice day.